Well, thank you all for coming today to the press conference here at the Stassen Building at the Department of Revenue. I appreciate your coming over. We will have three speakers today. My name is Myron Frans, Commissioner of Revenue. We'll have Terri Steenblock, Assistant Commissioner for Individual Taxes, and also Janelle Tummel, the Director of Communications for Revenue, talking. Today's focus is on the individual income tax changes that affect some 2013 tax returns that have been filed or will be filed between now and the filing deadline of April 15. We've provided handouts for your information, and these handouts are also on our website at www.revenue.state.mn.us. If you go to that front page, there's an orange button on the bottom that's labeled Tax Law Changes. That's where we will post future updates at that location on our website. We'll have a question and answer at the end, but we appreciate your help in informing the public about these changes. I want to start with the big picture first and quickly get to the tax changes we want to talk about today. As we all know, the legislature passed and the governor signed on Friday a major tax bill. That tax bill included $508 million in tax cuts, $230 million in middle class tax cuts, of which we'll be talking about $57 million today, $232 million in sales tax cuts for businesses, $43 million in estate and gift tax cuts, and $3 million in investments in innovation and jobs in the angel investment credit. The bill also included an appropriation of $150 million to the state's budget reserve and a few other items. I will be available this Thursday. We'll coordinate another opportunity to talk on Thursday to talk about all these other issues. But today we want to focus on the individual income tax changes that are effective immediately for people who are filing their returns. The total package of income tax cuts that are available for immediate tax savings is made up of two parts. The first part is for individual income tax payers, and that's $49 million out of the $57 million. The second part is made up of $8 million in business tax cuts, small business cuts for record-keeping procedures, and I'm going to talk about that on Thursday. About 1 in 10 taxpayers will probably be able to benefit from these tax changes this year. We estimated that over 200,000 to 300,000 taxpayers will be eligible, but we estimate that maybe 1 in 10 will actually be able to use and claim these benefits. Part of the difficulty in getting that number is sometimes some of these tax benefits work for more than one taxpayer. For example, you may have a student loan that you're paying off, and you may also be currently deducting tuition. So in that case, you would benefit from two of the items. So today we're going to talk about the $49 million available for immediate tax savings to individuals. Now, the first thing I want to talk a little bit about are some of the income tax facts that we know. As of last Friday, we know that 1.4 million people have filed. That's about 50%, a little bit over 50% of all the taxpayers. The remaining taxpayers, almost all of them, will file by April 15. 92% of the returns that have been filed electronically, which is at an all-time high. We know that 85% of the individuals filed electronically last year. And as far back as 2003, about 51% of people were filing electronically. So clearly every year that is improving, and it's something that makes our job much easier in order to process the refunds and review their returns. We received about 70,000 amended returns last year, and that'll become important as we talk about who may need to file an amended return. The average state income tax refund last year was about $577 as you apply it to all taxpayers. So right now, let's jump into the first board that I want to talk about on my far left, and I want to go through the process of determining who's going to benefit and who's not. It's absolutely so critical that those folks who are going to benefit know who they are, and we're going to ask them to wait. But if you've already filed your taxes and you don't qualify for one of the 10 deductions I'm going to talk about in just a moment, then your filing is okay. You don't need to do anything different. We will process your return, and if you have a refund coming, that may have already been paid, but there's nothing further for you to do. If you haven't filed yet and you don't qualify for one of these 10 benefits, once again, Go ahead and file as usual. There's no reason for you to wait, and make sure you get your return on time filed before April 15th. Now, however, if you do qualify for some of these tax benefits and you have not filed your return yet, we're going to ask you to wait until April 3rd. I'll come up with that date in just a minute. If you do qualify for some of these benefits and you have already filed, you should wait, because we will contact you to let you know if you need to file an amended return, or if we can fix or correct the return or adjust it on your behalf. So those are the big categories. Now remember, one of the things I really want to stress is the marriage penalty elimination that was enacted. That is available for 2014 going forward. So that is not available for taxpayers filing now for 2013. That raises the number to almost 4 to 5 out of 10 next year that will benefit from these tax changes. Well over 1 million people taxpayers will benefit next year after the marriage penalty elimination is effective. So the 2014 changes are the ones we're not worried about right now. Now, the question is, do you qualify or not? We have a board here, and that's on one of our handouts. This is the $49 million in tax benefits available now for individual income tax returns. We'll talk about the $8 million on Thursday for business tax returns. So right now, if you qualify for the working family credit, that was a federal conformity item we expanded for 2013. If you have mortgage insurance deduction, you would qualify if you took it on your federal return. Mortgage debt forgiveness, deduction for educator expenses. These are the expenses for those teachers around the state that pay some money for classroom supplies and use them in the classroom. We have a higher education tuition deduction. We have the student loan interest deduction. Education savings accounts withdrawals are dealt with. The National Health Corps scholarships. This is a relatively small one, but we wanted to make sure all those people who can see these deductions will know what they qualify for. Now the next one, number 9, employer provided assistance. So that's if your employer provided you with education, tuition assistance, adoption assistance, or transit assistance. All 3 of those you may qualify to make sure that you get that deduction or your credit on your federal return. And lastly, the tax-free charitable IRA distributions will be included. So really what happens here, I just want to go through sort of the normal process. So when you file your federal return, if you haven't filed it already, and you wait till April the 3rd, when you file your federal return and you make one of these deductions on your federal return, then that will reduce your overall federal income or federal taxable income. And now that federal taxable income is where Minnesota begins its state return. So if you've taken these deductions on your federal return, your federal income tax amount is lower, and therefore you'll get the benefit of a lower income tax, federal income tax amount on your state return. There's nothing you're going to have to do if you've claimed these properly on your federal return. That's the beauty of matching the state code with the federal code, or conformity, is once you claim it on your federal return, if you've done it properly, it will reduce your taxable income and you'll get the benefit in Minnesota because you have a lower taxable income. Right now, before April 3rd, the problem with our current system is by not conforming, then you have to do a special add back or an adjustment to your Minnesota return. That's what we will be eliminating. Now, for those people who have already filed, remember, we're going to be able to see that they've deducted, for example, student loan interest on their federal return, and that way we'll know that we can adjust their federal taxable income down by that amount. So we'll have the information that's on the return, we'll know how to make that adjustment, and we'll be able to let those people know that we've made the adjustment, and we'll send them a refund check if it's processed correctly. Now, there are some returns we're not going to be able to deal with all of them. Terri Steenblock will talk about that in just a minute. Some returns we'll have to notify taxpayers and say, we need you to file an amended return. But we will do that. We're asking taxpayers to wait, and we will notify them. We're working on a time schedule right now, but the key for us right now is to make sure that those people who haven't filed, who qualify for one of these benefits, wait until April 3rd, and then they'll be able to claim it under the new filing system. Assistant Commissioner Steenblock will kind of explain what we're doing and how the mechanics of this work so that we can get this available to taxpayers.
Thank you. As Commissioner Frans mentioned, my name is Terri Steenblock, and I'm the Assistant Commissioner of Individual Taxes. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we're prioritizing the work, what taxpayers should do, our progress to date, and then we also have some cautionary items that we want to share with you as well. This is a very complex task that we're undertaking, and our goal is to make sure that taxpayers have the information they need to file and receive the tax benefits from the law passage on Friday. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about how we're prioritizing our work. So as we look at prioritizing our work, our first priority is to change the forms and instructions, and also work with the software vendors to make sure that they have the information they need to be able to change the electronic filing software products that are out there. Our second priority is to make sure that we're making the changes internally to our own system so that we can process the returns that we're receiving from taxpayers. Our third priority will be to review all the returns that are received within the agency already and determine what needs to happen with those returns. As Commissioner Frans mentioned, there will be some returns that we adjust. There will be some returns that we need to request additional information from taxpayers in order to adjust, and there will be some returns that we will not be able to adjust. And in those situations, taxpayers will have to file an amended return. And then finally, our fourth priority, once we are done reviewing the individual income tax information, we'll take a look at the homestead refund credit for homeowners and property and renters to make sure that we're adjusting those as necessary or communicating with taxpayers if we cannot do that. So now I want to talk a little bit about what taxpayers should do. Commissioner Frans covered a few of these, but I want to talk about these again. If a taxpayer does not qualify for any of the new deductions or credits, and they have already filed, they do not need to do anything. We have received their return and we will process it as we normally would. If they have not filed, then they should proceed and go ahead and file on or before the April 15th due date. Second, if they do qualify for one of the new deductions or credits and they have already filed, we are asking them to wait for instructions from us. Those are the returns that we will take a look at, and we will provide direction to those taxpayers. If they have not filed, we are asking them to wait to file until April 3rd. Our goal is to make sure we have the new forms and instructions available by April 3rd. And if taxpayers can wait until the April 3rd date, that will allow their return to be processed accurately with the new tax law changes, and it will allow them to get their refund quicker. So now I want to talk a little bit about the progress that's been made to date. We have made some significant progress. The software vendors were notified, and they know what they need to change within their systems. This weekend we notified the preparer community and made them aware of the new tax law changes. We have also scheduled a conference call that we will be holding with both the preparer and the software vendor communities on Wednesday. And the purpose of this conference call will be to walk through the changes in more detail with both of those audiences and make sure that we answer any questions that they may have. We have identified the technical requirements for changing our system internally, and those requirements have been submitted to the developers, and today the developers have begun to work on system changes within our system internally. We did start drafting new forms, and we are updating instructions, and we started drafting changes for our website and the fact sheets for taxpayers. We have more work to do, and we will continue to provide updates as we progress through the changes. Now, I do want to mention some cautionary items. We want to be clear so that taxpayers understand the changes and the process going forward. So I mentioned that the software vendors know about the changes, but we cannot guarantee every software vendor will be able to make the changes. If this happens, taxpayers will not be able to use that software vendor in order to file their taxes. We will make sure that we update this information on our website so that taxpayers know which vendors have updated their software and which ones have not. We've also mentioned that we will not be able to adjust every return that has already been filed. There will be some taxpayers who need to amend their returns, and the Department of Revenue, just like the IRS, cannot receive electronic amended returns. So this means taxpayers who will need to amend will have to file a paper amended return with us. It will take longer for taxpayers who file amended returns to get their refunds. As the Commissioner mentioned, almost 1.4 million taxpayers have already filed their return, and we need to review these returns to identify who qualifies for the changes and then work through how we make the adjustments to those returns. So there will be some delays in the refund, the issuing of refunds to taxpayers. We do anticipate that taxpayers will be calling with more questions for us or to check the status of their return. So we are expecting call volume to be increased, and there may be longer delays in answering phone calls. And then finally, what we are doing when we make the adjustments to the returns based on the law changes that have occurred, we are simply making the adjustments based on the law changes. Taxpayers would still be subject to other reviews of their returns. And now I'm going to turn it over to our Director of Communications, Janelle Tummel, who will talk about our communication plan.
Hello, I'm Janelle Tummel, Communications Director at the Department of Revenue. How are you guys? I hope it's coming across that our goal is really to provide as clear and as frequent communication as possible, and we appreciate your help in getting the message out. So really the best way to get information and stay up to date is our website, revenue.state.mn.us. And at the bottom of the website, you'll see a little orange button called Tax Law Changes. And if you click there, that's where you'll find everything related to these tax law changes. We also encourage people to sign up for our email updates, and you can do that by clicking anywhere on our website where you see a little red envelope, and that'll take you right to the list of topics you can select. And the topic for this information is also called Tax Law Changes. So as far as this week, we have a couple more events scheduled to communicate with specific individuals. We're going to have a conference call with tax professionals on Wednesday, the 26th at 10 a.m. And this will be the first of what we're planning to be about a weekly conference call to check in with them and keep them up to date with information that we know. Later that day on the 26th at 11:30, we'll have a conference call with software providers to give them updates as well. And then Thursday, the 27th at 11 a.m., we're planning another press conference here at the Department of Revenue to give an update on some of the things that we've talked about today, as well as to provide new information on some of the other taxes, like the business sales taxes and the gift tax and estate tax. So again, we'll continue sending email blasts, and we're planning to do other regular updates. The tentative dates that we have planned are April 3rd, April 8th, April 15th, tax day, April 22nd, May 1st. And these dates are listed in your media packet, and we'll notify people closer to the date when the times will be. A couple other helpful things on our website that I want to mention. One is our Where's Your Refund application. That's a great way to go to our website to find out the status of your refund 24/7. So just go to our website, and under the individual bucket, there's a Where's My Refund button that you can't miss. And when you go there, you will need a couple things to check the status, like your social security number, your return type, select the year for the tax year 2013, and then enter the dollar amount of your refund. But that's listed there so people know what to do. Another great thing on our website is ways to find free tax preparation help. We have a list of software vendors that can provide some free assistance if you qualify, and there are still free tax preparation sites open across the state where you can go if you qualify to get tax help. So that is what I have. We will now open it up for questions. Thank you.
Let me make one more comment first. Thank you, Director Tummel and Assistant Commissioner Steenblock. And it really is thanking both the private sector here. We work very closely every year with preparers. We communicate with them on a regular basis. They give us a lot of input and feedback, and so this has really been helpful for them over this weekend and this next couple of days to get input from them, and also the software vendors. And we've been very happy with the way they've been cooperating. So it's really a public-private partnership that we need to work on to make sure this happens.